Hey, Mike, let me ask you: do you think collectively here in the city of Detroit that Lions fans have calmed down a little bit after the last stretch of games? Did Saturday night calm a lot of people down?
Well, I think so, but it just revved them up for the next stage. I would think, but really, when you think about it, the Lions, they haven't lost 2 in a row this year, and that's this season anyway. They have not lost 2 in a row this season. That's amazing. This is a team that used to reel off 4, 5, 6 losses in a row like it didn't matter.
Like it was nothing.
Like it was normal.
Like it was nothing, and then that's what it was. But no, I don't know. I think it's okay if you're a fan to be nervous. Why not? Because really, what you have right now, I think we said this the last time we talked. They have something to lose. I mean, they really do. They have something to lose big, and that's, they don't want to just get into the playoffs at 10-7 or 11-6 and get bounced out. They want to, they want to win and go on further. So yeah, it's understandable because, like I said, there's something to lose.
Mike, always good to talk to you, Mo. Braylon here. Does it? I'm trying to be positive, but at the same time, it's just a question that I have of concern. Is it a concern of yours? Is what I want to know. The difference in how the Lions look when Frank Ragnow is in and not in the rotation. Like you've seen it. When he doesn't play, insert the last Chicago Bears play. When he does play, look at how they played this past game against the Broncos. When he doesn't play, insert the Baltimore Ravens game. When he does play, the very next game, look what they did to the Raiders. So is it a big thing, or is it something that they can get a handle on if they don't have him for the playoffs?
Well, it's not a little thing, I think I think he's probably their best football player and has been for a while. And look, he's been an All-Pro, and that's for a center. That's hard to get because once somebody else becomes the All-Pro, they're All-Pro for a decade.
You're not lying.
He broke that, and the line. I don't think that's not a small item. It really isn't. He's such a good player, and he's such a good influence on the rest of that team. He's just it's more than just what he does physically. It's what he does mentally for that team too.
Hey, Mo, what was the major difference besides not turning the ball over in Jared Goff's game on Saturday? Saturday, he looked like the Jared Goff that we all fell in love with. What happened? Is it the O-line that did it all?
Well, it didn't do it all, but it's obviously if you have time to pat and throw, it's a lot different than pat and run for your life.
Right.
I would think, and in all due respect to Jared, he is. I wouldn't say he's limited, but there are certain parts of that game that just aren't his game, and he's not a sprint out thrower or stuff like that. He likes to be in the pocket, scan the field, and get it to the receiver, and he's really good at it. He's accurate. He's as accurate as anybody. Now he doesn't have Matthew Stafford's arm, throw it 60, 70 yards, but who does? We're talking about one of a kind there. But I think he'll be just fine. I really do.
How about your take now, 14 weeks in, on Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta? Could that be the best 1-2 punch ever drafted, at least here in Detroit?
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers once drafted 5 players who made the Hall of Fame. So I don't think we're going to beat that.
You're right. You're right.
In the same class?
But that wasn't in the same class, though.
Well, yeah.
Yep, 5.
It was close.
Wow.
5 players.
Yeah. Started with Mean Joe Green.
But he was the year before Terry Bradshaw.
Hey,
either way.
All right, how about in the last year? Hey, they're pretty good, Mo.
Well, yeah, certainly since April. Absolutely. Nobody's done better. No, I think it stands on its own. What do you compare it to? I really don't. I really don't know. I don't think a lot of people had the tight end rated as the number 1 tight end in the draft. There are a couple of other guys there. But look, he was 34th overall, which is the second pick of the first round. So really, you have to me, consider him first round quality. Jahmyr Gibbs was clearly the number 2 running back in the draft, and I think he's probably the number 1 running back for his ability to catch the ball too. That was just an excellent pick by Brad Holmes. So the thing that even makes it better, though, is what they backed it up with, and that was or timed it with, and that was the free agent signing of David Montgomery.
Yeah,
2 guys who can get you yards. A little different style, but they both can get you yards. They can catch the ball out of the backfield to some degree. I mean, I think Gibbs is a little better at it than Montgomery, but that in itself is a twosome that could really carry you a long way.
Mo, we're talking about giving so much love to the offense, and they deserved it after how they played against the Broncos. But you know who else played good in my estimation? It was the defensive line for the Broncos. They really got after Russell Wilson, and he really didn't have anywhere to go all game. How did they look How did they look so different in this game versus how they looked in the past, where not being able to get to the quarterback? What was different in this game, in your estimation?
Well, I think part of it is when there's a quarterback who's easier to get to. I think, and Russell Wilson, he likes to run around back there, and if you run around long enough, you're going to get caught, and he got caught. But it's not like that they, just dragged him from one end of the stadium to the other. I think they had, was it 3 quarterback sacks or 2 quarterback sacks? But what they had was relentless pressure, throughout the game, starting right. I think it was from the first series when Ifiatu, let me try this name over again. Melifonwu, just the blitz thing knocks the ball loose, and really the Lions probably should have gotten some points out of that, but they didn't. But that was sort of the signal to Wilson, hey, we're coming after you today, and they did.
Hey, Mike, and we're talking to Mike O'Hara, DetroitLions.com. Mike, what will it mean for this team, do you believe, to get C.J. Gardner-Johnson back with this team? I believe the clock started. He'll be practicing this week. What that means for Sunday, I'm not sure we have confirmation on or not, but it does appear that they are going to get him back before the end of the season. What do you think that lift is for the defense?
Well, first, you're right. I think it's more likely in 2 weeks they'll be back in 1 week. I mean, this week. It'll probably be next week, but I don't know that, and that's just my speculation. And in his press conference yesterday, Dan Campbell didn't specify either, but it sounded pretty optimistic on when he's going to come back. Well, there's a couple of things about it. Number one, he's a veteran player. Number two, and players know that. They kind of gravitate to him. Outgoing guy that really kind of controls the room, and he can play. You're better off with your best players than you are with somebody else, and I think he would. At least it seemed that way when we had him for a game and a half. That he elevated the secondary, and I think he'd do that. He gets somebody back there who's a guy who can really, make a stand back there for the Detroit Lions, and I think that's sort of been lacking a lot this season. But I think he can bring them that. It'd really be a huge uplift for the secondary.
Mo, can you talk about the growth of Dan Campbell? Last week, I think we talked about it on Wednesday with Dan Miller, and we just talked about how he, even after the Chicago Bears game, he just was not the same guy he was in the past after losses. He seemed more confident. It seemed like they were going to get things corrected, and then they did get things corrected. And then, once again this week, he's finding ways to motivate younger guys or motivate guys within his team. Just seemed like the growth in him. He's becoming one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Well, he's really a smart guy. I mean, don't let that that Texas drawl or whatever it is, let that fool you. No, he's super smart, and not super smart in football, yeah, but just in life in general. He's a really, really sharp guy, and I think you saw to what you're talking to at his press conference yesterday. Then I forget, somebody asked him a question sort of tied to this, and he came out and said, "No, we want to win the NFC North. That's been our goal. That's been our goal from the start. Now, if something else happens, comes down the road, we'll deal with it then." Those aren't exactly the words he used, but that was the message he was sending. And they want to win the NFC North first. That's been their goal, and that's going to be their goal until there's another goal comes along. And I think the Lions were pretty high coming off the field after that win over Denver. And I think this is just the way I read it. I think he wanted to make sure that, look, stay grounded. We've got more work to do. We win the division, then we'll go on to this other stuff. And I think he's really, with this team anyway, he has really kind of mastered the feeling of the room. And I think he just wanted to make sure that these guys realize, look, we have work. We want to win the NFC North, and everything else, everything good follows after that. And he's absolutely right. If they don't win the NFC North for whatever reason, I think a lot of people would consider this season a failure, even if they make the playoffs and not win the division.
Well, that was Ryan's take. Braylon and I jumped all over him on that, because if we said if they didn't win the division, still made the playoffs and won a game, to me that's a successful season as a Detroit Lions fan. You're saying it would still be a loss to you?
Well, let's put it this: it would be a disappointment to me that after all of this, and I mean all of this, and dating back to last year when the Lions went 8-2 in their last 10 games, I would be disappointed if they don't come out of this with a home playoff game. I would be disappointed. Now, I'm not a full disclosure. I don't, buy tickets or anything like that. I'm there to work.
We know that.
But I would be disappointed if they don't, because the fans deserve it, the players deserve it, the community deserves it, the Ford family deserves it. There's nobody who doesn't deserve it connected with the Lions in this.
Right. Before I get my next question, and do you want to talk about what he just said?
I agree.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean,
Yeah.
I just agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Go
Mo,
ahead.
how about the Vikings? You got to play them 2 out of 3 weeks. Last year on Christmas Eve, the Lions didn't show up against the Panthers, and they got their teeth kicked in and really cost them a playoff. This year, they go into Minnesota. Vikings coming off another tough loss for them. All they do is play one-score games. What kind of game are you expecting here? Another one-score game, I suspect. I think the Lions, this is – for them to get rolling, they got to win this game to me to make that Denver game really mean something.
Well, I wouldn't. I understand your point, but look. You win how you win, and you don't throw it back if you get it next week instead of this week. But the Vikings are a pretty good team, really. I don't think they were as good as the 13 wins they had last year, but I don't think they're as bad as they are at 7-7. Look, they've been playing with a 4th, 5th, 9th string quarterbacks ever since Cousins went down with the Achilles. So I think it's remarkable what O'Connor, their quarterback, their head coach, has done with what he's had to work with. And look, they played generally well enough yesterday or Sunday to win the game. Their quarterback made just enough mistakes for them to lose it.
Right.
That's just my take on it. So they're going to be a tough team to beat. They had five quarterback sacks in that game, and a couple of young players are really starting to come back. Justin Jefferson had 7 catches for 94 yards. Ty Chandler rushed for 132 yards. Those are good young ball players that you've got to account for.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, he's been hurt. We're not sure if he's going to play or not, but they're going to go with Nick Mullins.
Right. Nick Mullins.
His quarterback again. They announced that yesterday in their press conference. Yeah, Nick Mullins announced that yesterday. That certainly wouldn't scare me. That hey, Mullins is playing. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to take care of him. That's what you're going to do.
You got to beat Mullins.
But you've got to beat Mullins.
Hey,
Mullins.
Mike, let me ask you, and this is probably well beyond your pay rate, but and I know you handle more
everything is
right. What happens on the field, but it felt like such a huge story last night and all day today about the ticket price increases at Ford Field, and now they've got a 9,000 seat waiting list and an average of a 30% increase, and some people have been increased 80-85%.
What else for the upper decks?
Has the organization publicly commented yet today on any of that? I've not seen it at all today. Have they talked yet? Rod Wood usually says something about it.
Yeah, not that I have seen, but I haven't seen everything. I'm hunkered down in my
right. No, I figured. Yeah, I just didn't know. Well, good
stuff.
I
don't know. I'm not. Yeah,
You're not the ticket guy. You are not the ticket guy. I know, but I just didn't know if anything happened today while we were on the air or anything like that. But all good, my friend.
Not that I know of.
A lot of people excited about these Detroit Lions and supply and demand, right? I mean, once what are you gonna do? It is what it is.
Buy those tickets.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Mo, thanks so much, buddy. We'll check you out, DetroitLions.com. Lots of great content there. Read Mike there. And hopefully, Mike, a playoff game in Detroit will be sealed with a win on Sunday. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, bud. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, Mo.
All right, guys. All right, thanks for having me.
You got it.
Merry Christmas.
You got it. The great Mike O'Hara, DetroitLions.com. We'll take a break when we come.